Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are tackling a stack of documents that, frankly, feels like it shouldn't exist.
Right?
You know those Venn diagrams where you have ancient mysticism on one side and advanced theoretical physics on the other?
Hmm.
Usually, those circles barely touch. I mean, they're in different area codes.
If they touch at all. Usually they're in different buildings entirely. One is incense and chanting. The other is, whiteboards and calculus.
Exactly. But the text we are looking at today, it takes those two circles, smashes them together until they overlap completely, and then throws in, like, a graduate-level sociology textbook just for fun.
It does.
We are looking at a system called Zhevekiyev alchemy.
It is a mouthful, isn't it? And honestly, the content is even denser than the name.
It really is. I mean, we're seeing terms like Sephiroth and moon magics sitting on the same page as tachyonic physics, complex systems theory, and sociodynamics.
It's a wild mix.
So our mission today is to try and decode this. We're going to unpack the Psionic Azoth, figure out why we're talking about moon spheres in the information age, and try to understand this central claim.
Which is?
That you can merge the magical with the scientific to hack the operating system of reality.
And that is the perfect way to frame it, hacking the operating system. Because what stands out immediately to me is that this isn't a grimoire for brewing potions in a cauldron.
No.
It is proposing a worldview where the laws of life and death aren't just biological or spiritual. They are informational. They apply to networks, to societies, to complex living systems.
It's alchemy for the era of big data.
Exactly. Alchemy for big data.
Which is a sentence I never thought I'd say. But before we get to the data part, let's look at the legacy attributes. The text lists out exactly what this Zhevekiyev alchemy is supposed to do.
Okay.
And it starts with the classic hit, alchemical transmutation of metals.
Right. If you buy an alchemy book, you expect gold making. That's the entry price.
Of course.
But even here, the text gets oddly specific. It mentions transmutation, but it specifically notes the inclusion of Sephiroth and Planetary Tellurics.
Okay, let's pause on tellurics. That's not a word you hear every day unless you're deep in geology or ley line theories.
Telluric refers to currents, specifically electric currents that move underground through the Earth's crust or the sea. They're real.
So scientists measure them.
Oh, yeah. They're real physical phenomena caused by changes in the Earth's magnetic field, solar activity, that sort of thing. But in occultism, telluric currents are often seen as these dragon lines or, energy veins of the planet.
So right away, the text is grounding this mystical idea of transmutation in something geomagnetic.
Exactly.
It's not just distinct from physics, it's seemingly trying to use physics.
Yes. It's not just magic wand waves, it's tapping into a planetary circuit board. Which leads right into the next attribute the text claims.
Which is?
Control of electromagnetics.
Yeah, geomagnetic tellurics.
Yes. It suggests the alchemist, or the magus, is manipulating the electromagnetic field of the planet itself. It's moving away from magic as a violation of physics and toward magic as a manipulation of invisible physics.
That is high stakes. And then naturally, it promises secrets of magical rejuvenation.
Of course.
Because who doesn't want eternal youth?
Both astral and physical, according to the text.
Right, the full spa package. But then we hit the part that really made me stop and reread. The text says this system governs the laws of life and death in the moon sphere.
The moon sphere.
Now, moon sphere sounds very Dungeons and Dragons. What are we actually talking about here?
This is where we have to know our history. In the Western esoteric tradition, or Kabbalah, the moon sphere is associated with Yesod.
Yes, Seb.
It's the sphere on the tree of life just above the physical world. It represents the astral plane, the subconscious, dreams. It's the machinery behind reality.
Okay, so it's the backstage area of the universe, the server room.
A great analogy. But look at how this source applies it. It says, these laws apply subsequently in the ZGTE and our physical world.
Right.
And here is the kicker. It applies especially with regard to Z and its application across complex living systems.
And sociodynamic interdependencies.
That phrase is the smoking gun.
Sociodynamic interdependencies. That sounds like something you'd hear in a PhD seminar on network theory, not a book on magic.
It does, but think about what it implies. Sociodynamics is the study of how groups change, evolve, and interact.
And interdependencies are the connections, the web that holds the group together.
Right.
So the text is saying that magic works through the social network.
Precisely. It implies that the moon sphere, that collective unconscious, that backstage area, is actually the web of social connections between all of us.
Oh, the magic.
The magic isn't about throwing a fireball. It's about pulling the strings of the social web. The alchemy happens within the network of life itself.
That is a wild reinterpretation. It treats society people, their connections, the vibes of a cloud as the raw material.
Like the lead you're trying to turn into gold.
I think that's exactly it.
And
Later on, it explicitly mentions complex social systems.
Mhm.
So if you can master the moon sphere, the collective unconscious of the group, you can alter the physical reality of that group.
It's taking reading the room to a literal metaphysical level.
Mhm.
And if you can do that, well, the text says the special advantages offered the Magus are astonishingly profound in all respects.
Astonishingly profound. I appreciate the confidence.
It's not lacking in confidence, that's for sure. But let's get into the mechanics. How does one actually pull those strings? The text breaks down the power source into this term,
Psionic is off.
Psionic as off, and it actually gives us the etymology, or at least the breakdown of the words Zhev and Kiev.
This is where we get into the real engine room of the system. This is the how-to.
Let's start with the first half, Zhev. The text defines this as ZH, karma-changing systems of Qabalistic anamnesis.
Okay.
Now, anamnesis is a Greek term, right? I feel like I remember that from Philosophy 101.
You probably do. In philosophy, particularly Plato, anamnesis means remembering or unforgetting. The idea is that you don't really learn new things. Your soul just remembers what it knew before you were born.
So Kabbalistic anamnesis would be accessing some kind of ancient cosmic memory bank.
Yes, it suggests accessing the deep structural memory of the universe. But notice the adjective before it.
Karma changing.
Karma changing, that's the heavy hitter. Karma usually implies cause and effect. You do X, Y happens. It's a locked cycle.
Right. But this system claims to be karma changing.
This implies that by accessing this deep memory, this Zhev,
Yeah.
you can edit the cause and effect. You can rewrite the script of what is supposed to happen.
But how? The text immediately pivots back to that sci-fi language to explain the mechanism. It says EVE are condensates and precipitates from the OIF.
The OIF, the omniscient information field.
That sounds like the cloud on steroids.
In a way, it is. This is a very modern way of looking at magic. It views the universe not as matter, but as information, data. And it says these condensates, the stuff magic is made of, comes from complex systems, Cascan, and networks.
Again, with the networks, it keeps coming back to this idea that the data isn't floating in space, it's in us.
It's in our network.
It's in our networks.
Yes. The Zhev part of this alchemy seems to be the information side. It's the data extraction. Precipitate is a chemical term. It's when a solid forms out of a liquid solution.
Okay.
So Zhev is the process of extracting solid reality from the fluid, omniscient information field of social networks.
That is spooky. So you have this ocean of data, social dynamics, complex systems, everything everyone is doing and thinking, and Zhev is the process of condensing that into something usable.
Precisely. It's big data analytics, but applied to the fabric of reality. And notice the notation. It uses ZH, H, and Z. These likely correspond to specific alchemical formulas or Kabbalistic frequencies, but the core idea is utilizing sociodynamics as the fuel.
Okay, so that's Zhev, the information, the network, the history. Now we have the other half of the coin, Kiev.
Kiev is defined as the ontologically luminous core, or celestial matrix.
Let's break down ontologically luminous. Ontology is the study of being, of existence.
And luminous means emitting light. So an ontologically luminous core is a center of existence that shines. It creates its own reality.
The text clarifies this by calling them self-reflective systems of coherence. And then in parentheses, it just says one word.
Beliefs.
Beliefs, that is the pivot point.
It is.
So Kiev is just believing in something.
It's more than just thinking something. It's self-reflective coherence. It's a belief so strong, so structured, that it becomes self-sustaining.
Right.
The text says these beliefs are concentrated, condensed, and precipitated into the splendor of manifest reality.
Okay, that is poetic, but practically what does it mean?
It means turning the internal into the external. Think of Zhev as the film in a movie projector. It has all the information, the pictures, the history.
Okay.
Kiev is the light bulb. It's the energy that pushes through that information to project an image onto the screen of the world.
And it says this happens will it once. I love that phrasing. Will it once.
It is defined as the shortest time possible. Instantaneous manifestation. The gap between I want this and here it is disappears.
So if I can synthesize this, Zhev is the the complex data of the world, the network. Kiev is the how, the will, the belief engine that collapses that data into a specific reality.
That's a great synthesis. You need both. Information without will is just noise. Will without information is just hallucination. Zhevekiyev alchemy is the marriage of the two.
And the powers claimed here are not subtle. Under Kiev, it lists materialization, dematerialization, invisibility.
Standard high-level magical claims. If you can edit the reality, you can edit yourself out of it.
But then it adds infallible prophecy regarding all aspects of the anamnesiac Azov.
Infallible. No pressure there.
But it makes sense within the system, right? If you understand the anamnesis, the deep memory of the system, of course you can predict the outcome.
Exactly.
It's not guessing, it's reading the code.
If you know the algorithm, you know the result. It's like predicting the sun will rise. It's not a guess. It's knowledge of the mechanics.
But there's a warning label, and it's a big one. It says, no failure and no turning back.
That sent a chill down my spine. No turning back.
Why is that? Is it just dramatic flair? Beware the forbidden arts.
I don't think so. I think it connects to the next concept, which is probably the most mind-bending part of the whole document.
Which is?
The power field of manifesting from the tachyonic future.
Tachyons. We're back to physics.
Hypothetical physics, yes. Tachyons are particles that, in theory, travel faster than light.
Right.
According to relativity, if you travel faster than light, you are technically moving backward in time.
So, manifesting from the tachyonic future, what does that imply for our alchemist?
Think about how we usually try to do things. We push. We work in the present to build a future. I lay a brick today, so I have a wall tomorrow. That's causal.
Right. Cause, then effect. I push the cart moves.
The tachyonic future implies the opposite. Retrocausality. You establish the reality in the future first. You anchor the wall is built state in the future.
Okay.
And because that future state now exists ontologically, the present is forced to rearrange itself to meet it.
You're not pushing the car forward, you're hooking it to a winch in the future and reeling it in.
Exactly. You are dragging the present towards a fixed future point.
Which explains the no turning back warning.
Right. If you've already established the future as a fact, as an ontological core, you can't change your mind halfway through. The destination is already locked.
The universe is just catching up.
The universe is just catching up.
That is dizzying. It suggests a level of commitment that is terrifying. You aren't just trying, you are defining destiny.
It aligns with the metaphysical law of psionic ontology, the text mentions. Existence precedes process. The thing exists in the future before the process to create it happens in the present.
Okay, so we have the theory. We have the information field, Zhev, and the will engine, Kiev. We have the tachyonic future pulling us forward. But how does a person actually do this?
The source gives us a methodology.
It does, and it's surprisingly chemical. It uses verbs like extract, draw off, condense, concentrate, and precipitate. But again, we aren't extracting from herbs or stones. It says we're extracting from complex social systems and the mirror of their environmental gestalt.
That word gestalt is key. Gestalt means the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. When you walk into a room, you don't just see 20 individuals, you feel the room.
The mood, the tension.
That is the gestalt.
So the alchemist is looking at society, seeing that pattern, that gestalt, and drawing off energy from it.
Yes. It says specifically, manifesting from complex sociodynamic affordances.
Affordances. Now, that's a design term. I know that one. A handle affords pulling. A button affords pushing. It's what an object invites you to do.
Right. So in this context, sociodynamic affordances would mean the opportunities or potentials that exist within a social structure. The alchemist looks at a network of people and sees the buttons and levers that no one else sees.
They see where society could go.
The affordance, and use that to manifest reality.
It's like hacking the code of civilization. You see a weak point in the code and you insert your command.
It is hacking the complex akasha. The text mentions precipitation from the complex akasha, EV. Akasha usually refers to the ether, the fifth element, the spirit stuff.
Right.
But here, it's the complex akasha, the spirit of the complex system.
Speaking of ether, the text gets very specific about what ether actually is.
It does.
It calls it the most physical of all the akashas and wireframe for physical matter.
I love that description. Wireframe. It's like a 3D modeling term.
Yeah, like in a video game design, before you put the textures and the skin on a character, there's a wire mesh.
Exactly. The ether isn't some ghostly mist, it's the structural grid. It's the blueprint upon which physical matter is hung.
And if you can edit the wireframe,
You change the physical object. If you warp the grid, the reality sitting on top of it has to warp too.
This really is a mix of the ancient and the digital. Wireframes, affordances, networks.
Hmm.
But then just when you think it's all sci-fi, the text says we have to interpolate all of this vis-a-vis Isod.
Back to the Kabbalah. Isod, or Yesod, as we mentioned, is the foundation, the moon.
The text claims interpolating this proves the veracity of former nimins. Former nimins, that's just a fancy way of saying old memories.
Or old units of memory. Mnemons could be seen as the building blocks of cultural memory. The text seems to be saying, look, this new sociodynamic magic, it works because it fits into the ancient system.
It validates the old ways.
Yeah, it mentions El Shaddai and Gabriel names associated with the moon and the foundation.
So it's checking the math.
Right. It's trying to show that this system isn't a rejection of the divine, but a deeper understanding of it. It's checking the math against the oldest proofs available.
And the ultimate goal, the text is very clear, all to the glory of God.
Which is interesting. Despite all the talk of Tashions manipulating society and basically playing with the source code of reality, it frames itself as a devout act.
It frames the alchemist not as a rebel against creation, but as a co-creator working within the system.
A system administrator with root access, authorized by the architect.
I like that. But we have to talk about the peach.
Ah, yes. The oscillation.
I was reading through all this heavy stuff,
Yeah.
Sephiroth, OIF, condensates, tachyonic futures, and then suddenly buried in the text. It is wisely noted that the peach-colored oscillation, ZA, may prove useful.
Specificity is the soul of narrative and apparently of magic, too.
Why peach? I mean, really, not crimson red for power, not electric blue for energy. Peach.
It does stick out. This text calls it a psionic activation key.
Peep.
In hypnosis or psionics, a key or a trigger is often needed to launch a program. The mind needs a symbol to focus on to say, okay, start the process now.
Okay.
It seems that for this specific frequency of operation, the ZH frequency, the visualization of a peach-colored oscillation is the trigger.
But why that color?
It's speculative, but in color theory related to the Kabbalah, the queen scale or king scale colors correspond to specific spheres. Yesod, the moon, is usually violet or purple.
Okay.
However, Tifereth, the sun, the center of will, can be associated with salmon or pinkish gold colors. Peach sits right in that warm flesh tone spectrum.
It's like a mix of the physical and the light.
Exactly. It's the color of life, in a way. The text says it's useful for cathecting the Kabbalistico-psionic operations.
Cathecting. That's a Freudian term, isn't it?
It is. Cathexis is the investment of mental or emotional energy into an idea or object. You cathect a goal when you pour your desire into it.
So visualizing this peach oscillation helps the magus pour their mental energy into the machine.
It bridges the gap. It's the user interface. You can't just will the complex math of the universe. You need a button to press.
And the peach oscillation is the button.
It's the button.
It's the enter key on the keyboard.
A peach-colored enter key that executes a program to rewrite reality.
I'll never look at a peach the same way again.
Nor should you. It might be a psionic activation key.
So let's zoom out. We have a system that is undeniably dense. It's taking the language of quantum physics tachons, electromagnetics, and welding it to the structure of Kabbalah and the moon sphere.
And it inserts sociology right in the middle. That is the part that stays with me. The idea that the source material for magic isn't Eye of Newt, but the omniscient information field of human networks.
It makes the whole thing feel strangely modern, like we're living in this massive web of information and belief, social media, the news, the global conversation, and this text is claiming there's a way to grab the reins.
It suggests that reality is much more malleable than we think, that it's a precipitate of belief and information.
Right.
If you can change the belief, Kiev, and access the information, you can rewrite the wireframe of the ether.
But you have to be willing to accept the consequences because of the tachyonic future.
No turning back.
That is the thought I want to leave everyone with today. This concept of the tachyonic future. The text says there is no turning back because you are manifesting from a point ahead of you.
It reverses the arrow of causality. You aren't walking down a path.
Yeah.
You've thrown a hook to the mountaintop, and you are being pulled up.
Exactly. So here's the question for you listening. If this system is right, and we can manifest from the future, are we really creating our destiny? Or is our future self, that completed version of us, actually the one pulling us toward a reality that, in some sense, already exists?
Are we pushing forward, or are we being reeled in?
And what happens when the reel starts turning?
And you can't get off the line.
That is something to mull over. Thanks for diving deep with us into Zhevekiyev alchemy. We will catch you on the next one.
Keep looking for the Peach Oscillation.